So the other day, my son comes to me and says, "Dad, what does specialty mean?" And I said, "Well, son, it means you're an expert at something." To which he replied, "But you said your specialty was running." Okay, so let's ignore the fact that my son's calling me out on my running abilities and let's talk about something that I do feel that I'm an expert at.
Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be.
Hi everybody, my name is Matt and this is What Matters to Matt. Now on this channel I try to share with you the things that I am doing to be the best that I can be for the most important thing in my life, which is my family. Now if you have seen my videos before and you are a subscriber, welcome back. If you are new to the channel, head on over to my channel. If there's some videos there that you think you're going to be able to relate to, if you like some of my content, if you like this video, please consider hitting that subscribe button and hitting that bell notification and hitting that like button and maybe even leave a comment down below. I know that's a lot to ask, but it's free to you and it helps me out. It helps me get motivated. Every time I see new subscribers, it really helps me stay motivated to do what I'm doing here, to share my experiences with you. And at the end of the day, that's why I'm here. All right, so, and yes, I did want to talk to you about something today that I do consider myself to be a little bit of an expert in, and I think if we just talk about it in terms of the amount of times you've done it or the amount of time you spend doing it, there are many of you out there who are also experts in that, and that is balancing all the things. We all live busy lifestyles, and right off the bat, one of the things I want to point out is one of the things that have helped me along the lines with this is recognizing that although I feel incredibly busy, I'm not going to be the busiest guy in the world. There are other people out there who are going through just as much as I am or just as busy as I am, and it's a good idea sometimes to actually put that into perspective. It can be really easy to feel like you have so much weight on your shoulders, and a lot of us do, but recognize that you're not alone. There are many of us out there who are trying to do so many things, probably more things than frankly we should. And just like a lot of my other videos, I did actually come up with this idea of talking about this while I was out on one of my long runs, when it occurred to me that I was spending so much time just pounding the pavement, running out there, running those miles, adding up those miles so that I could train properly for my marathon. So I'm going to share with you just one of my latest long runs, and then we'll chat a little bit more about balancing all the things. Okay, so here's one of the interesting parts to this is when I talk to you about trying to do all the things that I can to be the best I can be for my family, that's usually in terms of how can I become better, both physically and mentally, so that I'm there for them, so that we actually do things. I can be the best that I can be, that I can be there for them in every single aspect. What's really interesting is when you take on something, some sort of a challenge like a marathon, where I really do feel that having that challenge helps me grow, helps me become better in many different ways, You also have to account for the fact that while you're doing this thing to make you better for this other thing, you're not able to do that other thing, which is spending time with my kids. And I thought the best way to approach this video is actually first to share with you what my life's like, kind of a week in the life of Matt. Now, this isn't a flex at all. This is more just to share with you because I think there's so many people out there that can relate. I do have 2 jobs. I am a school teacher. I teach elementary during the week, all day, every day, 5 days a week. And 2 nights a week, I'm working at a gym. On Saturday, I work at the gym full-time on Saturday as well. I also have 2 kids. I have a family, and yes, they do things. And one thing my daughter does, I had to take her this week to a couple of music lessons, one for piano, one for guitar. I had to pick them up this afternoon because she just finished her babysitting course. Oh, and there's also this marathon thing that I'm currently doing where I'm training for that, which had me running 3 decent length runs during the week and 2 longer runs this weekend, including the 32-kilometer or 20-mile run that I have coming up here on Sunday. So there's all of this stuff. And again, this isn't a flex, but it's just to give you an idea of what my life's like because it is pretty busy now. And where do I actually find the time to do all the things? So the question really is, how do we take that 24 hours that we have in a day and divide that up, or know that we can divide that up in a way that allows us to do some of the things that we want to do, some of those goals that we have set in place, or some of those things that we get excited about. Here's the thing, when I first thought about running a marathon, or when you're thinking about taking on anything new, maybe it's learn a new language, or maybe it's learn an instrument, whatever it happens to be, in my case, it's taking on a marathon. Sometimes you get super excited, super pumped right off the bat of that, and you're really motivated. And even before you take a conscious look at exactly how much time it's going to take to do that thing, in your mind, you just feel that somehow you're going to create time. But the reality is we can't do that. There are only 24 hours in a day. So what do? I keep it really simple, and quite frankly, I make myself a priority list. Now, when I do make that list, there are a couple of things that I want to mention. First of all, you need to be just a little bit selfish when making this list. Now, that sounds kind of funny coming from a guy who says I do everything for my family, but when I'm speaking selfishly, doing things for my family is what's most important to me. So when I say selfish, I'm actually talking about if you create a list of priorities that are based on what you think other people would like your priorities to be, you're not going to stick to them. It's going to be very difficult. So being selfish is just being realistic on what's most important to you. And when you're creating that list of priorities, and I encourage you to actually write this out on paper, rank them first to worst. Now that has to include things like your nutrition, your diet, how much time are you going to spend cooking. It also has to include things like sleep. It has to include what you plan on doing in terms of training. It has to include everything. You can't leave anything off the table. But you do need to list them most important all the way down. And I say this, and some people might not agree with this in terms of scheduling everything, but even time that I want to spend with my kids. Of course, whatever extra time I have is going to go there. But since I am so busy, I find it's so easy to fill up that calendar, fill up that 24 hours if you don't literally block some time off with your kids. That can just be, there's these nights I'm not going to be working. There's these nights I'm not going to be editing YouTube. There's these days I'm not going to be doing these things. My Sunday afternoons are for my kids. A couple evenings are for my kids. That I'm not doing other things. So ultimately, they become pretty high on a priority list. Other things that have to be there, again, I mentioned sleep, work. You have to put that all in there. And basically, going from top to bottom, starting with that 24 hours, allocating how much time you need for each one of those things. Let's say you're somebody who needs 8 hours sleep, great. If you're somebody who needs 7 hours sleep, great. But you have to allocate for all of those things. And then by the time you get to the end of that 24 hours, if there are things still on your list, you either need to reevaluate that list in terms of where things rank, or those just don't exist anymore. You wanted to do this new baking challenge and you can't do it anymore. You wanted to do this other thing and you can't do it anymore because it's too low on the priority list and it no longer fits within your 24 hours. And that's fine. If you've done this properly, if you've properly prioritized and you've been honest with yourself on what the most important things are, some of those things can fall off the bottom. Some of those things don't have to be included in what you're doing. So you have that list of priorities, and now you're thinking there's a couple of things off the bottom of that list that I really want to do. Here's the caution. Here's the thing that I'm going to reference. Now, a few months ago now, when I started down the road of doing my marathon training, I actually put out this video, and I'll link to it up top here somewhere. But I put out this video where I was talking about Matt's marathon mistakes. And one of those mistakes was that I was going to decrease the amount of sleep I was getting in order to actually get more training in for my marathon. And effectively what I was doing was I was looking at something that was pretty high on the priority list, and I was decreasing the amount of hours that I said I needed to dedicate to that thing for something that was lower on the list. Two things might be wrong with that. One is I just might have the order wrong on where my priorities actually lie. But probably more realistically, I'm fooling myself into thinking that I can get away with decreasing the amount of time I spend on these more important things for something else. And I caution you not to do that because it's so easily to do. It's so easy to actually do. Is to look up at your other things and decide, you know what, I can do a little bit less of this so that I'm able to do this. At that point, you know that you're spreading yourself too thin. Okay, I know that's super quick and I know that sounds super simple, but as somebody who overcomplicates pretty well everything that he gets into, trust me, simple is always better. Again, if you like this video, please consider hitting that subscribe button and hitting that bell notification. I want to share with you everything that I am doing. Training is going over so well. My name is Matt. Keep that focus on what's most important to you, and I will see you in the next one.